of our society. It is sacred and not a covenant that is to be entered into lightly. Thanks for being here tonight for On Record. I'm Brandon Wilson. I'm a firm believer in happy, healthy, and holistic marriages. And the couples that I'm bringing to you tonight embody these characteristics as marital and family units. But as life changes and we grow together, come challenges. We've all faced some major family dynamic changes with the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of us are now working from home. We're even educating our children from home. And more time is being spent together with our spouses and children. And that can create some level of exhaustion among parents and ultimately put a strain on marital relationships. So, how are couples managing it all? Let me introduce you to those who are offering up their advice on how to support one another as spouses, and they're also working to build successful families. Let's start with Derek and Latoya Wack. They're busy doing it all. Derek is a division manager in the franchise, and Latoya is a real estate agent. Together, they have six, count them, six girls, and now they have another girl on the way, which will make for seven girls total. I know they have some advice and wisdom for couples tonight, so please welcome Derek and Latoya.
Hey everyone.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Also, we have Ron and Renia Jamison. They met while in college at the University of South Carolina, and they have been together ever since. They made Columbia their home, parenting two sons, Leonard, who's 24, and Blaze, who's 7, and grandparenting a 3-year-old granddaughter, Kamari. Ron is the educator teaching middle and high school English, while Renia serves as a public relations consultant. Together, they also own and operate The Lick, which is a gourmet frozen treat business, and they are active in the community. Everyone, let's welcome Ron and Renia Jamison.
Hey guys.
Also, let's welcome Jessica Van, who is a licensed professional counselor, a wife, and mother of 2 herself. Her counseling practice focuses on therapy to strengthen women, their intimate relationships, and balancing their daily life. Helping others is a passion of hers, and that started with being one of 7 children growing up in Goose Creek, South Carolina. She has a master's degree in marriage, family, and couples counseling, and she also focuses on women and normalizing the conversation surrounding sexuality and intimacy. Everyone, please welcome Jessica Van.
Hi,
All
everyone.
right, well, let's dig. Yeah, awesome. So glad everyone is here tonight. So I'm ready to jump right in because Derek and Latoya, I'm so excited for you guys because number one, baby number 7 is on the way, and I know you guys are extremely excited. So first and foremost, Latoya, I've known you for a number of years, and Derek, I consider you like a brother to Latoya, who's like a sister to me. So tell us a little bit about your story and tell us how you guys met because God just brought you guys together in such an amazing way. And I'm just excited that you guys are here tonight to tell your story.
You wanna?
Yeah, you
I'll
can
I'll
chime
go
in.
because I tell the truth.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
It was about 8 years ago. When I used to work at the bank, and Derek was a customer. He would come in for his job and do their deposits and take care of business, and that's really how I knew him. But I never really helped him. Actually, I just would know him from coming in, and I guess eventually y'all switched banks, so I
Yep.
never saw him again after that. But it wasn't until 7 years later, one of my best friends, who happens to be his god sister, who I did not know that at the time, and I was dropping my 2 girls off so she can babysit, and Derek was at her house, and when he turned around, and I'm like, "Wait, I know you,"
Here we go.
and he
Here
was
we
looking
go.
like, and I was like, "Remember me from the bank?" And so, anyway, so I had to bring back his memory. But ever since then, the rest is history. We kind of reconnected through Shakia.
Mhm.
So, and now here we are.
She left out. She slid into my DMs, but that's the part she didn't want me to tell.
There's always some type of DM action
It's
going on
always
somewhere, huh? In somebody's
right,
story.
right.
Well, tell us about how did you guys realize when you guys started dating? Eventually, okay, things turned serious. So how did you guys realize, okay, you know what? This is the one I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Oh, this question for me. So the way I realized that she was the one for me is she changed the dynamics of the way I view love. She changed the dynamics, the way of, the relationship exposure that I had with her just was, it swept me off my feet. I mean, it definitely did. I really enjoyed being around her. I really enjoyed just spending time with her. I enjoyed so much. And like, she made me happy. That's the one thing that, money can't buy. I mean, no one can give that to you but the right one. So she gave me that true, genuine happiness. And that I just knew I wanted that for the rest of my life. So I did not hesitate. I jumped right in and I was like, yeah, I want you to be my wife.
He did. I will say, to add to that, so I agree with everything that you said. It's definitely mutual, but I will say, we both were divorcees, and he was single dad and I was single mom. So just to bring it on into perspective, as a single mom, I was tired. I was like, Lord, you know what, God, I'm just tired of even just praying. Like, just send me who you want for me. And, when I tell you the way you pray can change everything. And that is what I stuck with.
Yes.
Instead of sticking to the materialistic things that I wanted in a husband, I literally got so tired and I said, I have to serve one God. I can't keep looking for love. I have to serve one God and just say, Lord, just send me who you want for me. And, like I said, a helpmate is a serious term. And that I feel is what we bring to the table for one another.
Yeah, amazing story. The fact that you're talking about having a helpmate that's there to, be able to take some of that load off of you whenever you're having those stressful times. Brenda and Theron, want to kind of come to you now and talk about your story as well, because I like the fact that you guys met in college, and ever since then it's been, peace, harmony, and I'm sure a whole host of a lot of things that you guys have been through together, weathering some storms as well too. But tell us a little bit about your story of how you guys met.
Well, it's some truth. I'll tell the true version because he'll tell the other version. But we actually met in college in our English class, and it was a big giant lecture hall. And I think I remember, I probably was late to class. So he was probably seated. And when I saw him from a distance, I was like, oh, I gotta get to know that fella. Short version is, I think I ended up sitting next to him, and then he cheated off of my paperwork during that rest of that class. And, so I was like, hey, we good team members. We might be able to be on to something.
So Brandon, I ended up becoming an English major, and I have a master's in English. So who do you think cheated off of who?
Oh, I'm gonna let the audience figure that one. I'm not gonna judge.
But yeah, we realized that we're good teammates, and we really kind of took our time getting into marriage. We dated for some years, and we took premarital classes through our church. And it was interesting because when we took those classes, we actually decided to kind of slow things down and line things up before he surprised me with a proposal. So yeah, that was kind of where we began. And like you said, life has been handing us, one thing after the other. But the thing that keeps us tight and together is I think that team approach that we have. Laughter has always been a part of the mix. So, Theron keeps me laughing and smiling, and, we enjoy spending time together. I've talked to people at work, and, when we were in physical work environments, and, people would dread going home. I mean, I look forward to it. I couldn't wait to go home. And in fact, plan, I got to get out of here because I need to get home. So that's kind of how I think we've approached marriage.
I agree.
Well, one of the interesting things about marriage as well is, talk about a little bit about how God is the cornerstone of you guys' marriage as well too, and why God being in your marriage is so important.
Yes, because through our premarital counseling. It was called a class called Two Becoming One. And we realized when we took that approach, that would give us a solid foundation. And I mean, a lot of people don't realize that marriage is a reflection of the church and how it aligns. So when you align that relationship, everything else will fall into place.
Yeah, definitely. And recognizing that you know you have to truly become one, and that it's not a 50-50 relationship, but it is a 100% relationship. I give all that I got, you give all that you got, and then we can meet in the middle. But it's no idea of, okay, I'm gonna just give enough to meet you halfway. No, I'm gonna give you everything I got, and then we work it out that way.
Yeah, I like the fact, yeah, you have to be able to work things out, in a consistent and honorable manner. And I'm going to come back to you guys and talk a little bit about conflict resolution, because I think that's a major thing that a lot of couples really deal with, especially during this time with COVID, because, there's a lot of people who are working from home. And of course, they are also parenting their children from home as well. Jessica, being that you're a licensed professional counselor, you've heard some of these great stories that, Renee and Theron have been talking about, also Derek and LaToya. I mean, when you talk about the importance of counseling itself for marital couples, I mean, a lot of times people think, okay, premarital counseling is, what we should go through. But in honesty, you should go through marital counseling throughout the course of your marriage, not just necessarily in the beginning before you get married.
Absolutely. So the way that I look at counseling is like car maintenance. You take your car in every, 3,000 miles? I don't know. My husband does it. But whenever your car needs a checkup, you know where to go. The same can be said for counseling. So having that foundation of premarital counseling, I think, is so important. And I'm glad that these couples, that was something they were open to, but also considering when you need a checkup, having someone there who can be a sounding board and it is objective. I don't have a dog in the fight. So my client is the relationship. I'm doing things in the best interest of the relationship. And oftentimes, sadly, I don't see couples until it's too late, until, this is the ultimatum and they're saying, if you don't do this, it's over. So I think that ongoing therapy is awesome for couples and something that will help them to address ongoing issues and ongoing, tribulations and triumphs in their relationships.
Yeah, when you have those ongoing trials in your relationship and in your marriage, I mean, sometimes it can, you have your good days and you have your bad days. So Derek and LaToya, talk about how you guys manage some of your good days and your bad days as well.
Hey, Brandon, I think it got disconnected for a second. Can you repeat it?
Sorry about that. I was asking, how are you able to manage your good days and bad days? When you talk about conflict resolution, because, you have to go through continuous checkups with each other when you're in a relationship or a marriage. And, sometimes you do have those good days, you have those bad days. How do you guys manage conflict resolution in your household between the two of you?
I'll start, but I'll say, to piggyback off of the importance of counseling that Jessica was just, talking about, we did premarital counseling also, but for us, we decided to keep it going because we actually enjoyed counseling. Like even currently, we still are doing our counseling sessions because, I mean, you learn things about your spouse every day. And especially with COVID, the pandemic, just homeschool, so much going on, we found it to be super beneficial. So I guess to dig a little deeper, when there's conflict between Derek and I, one thing we had to learn is something that we found out is called our negative cycle. And so if there's conflict, Derek is a withdrawer. He needs his space, but I'm a pursuer. So I like to, I want to communicate all the time. And we had to learn to find that balance, to respect one another's styles.
Yeah, you do. When you're talking about your style of communication, we all have different levels of communication. You know, we have to recognize our moments of when sometimes, you know, we are not willing to share certain information, or we just want to have those moments to ourselves. You know, Derek, as a man, sometimes I guess it's easy to kind of shut down and not communicate. And then, you know, typically a lot of times, you know, the female wants to always be the one that wants to communicate, say, hey, we need to talk about this, we need to get this done now. How do you really handle that in terms of being able to, you know, communicate that you may need some space and time?
So it comes with the respect. It comes with the respect because, number one, if I ask for it, I mean, it should be granted. However, the biggest thing when you ask for it, and Toya tell you this, she needs to know, okay, are we going to circle back around to this? Because withdrawing does not mean, I'm not sure if you went out, Brandon, but withdrawing does not mean it's over. Like, we're never going to address this again. It just means, okay, I'm elevated in this moment, and we're not going to come to common grounds because I am here now. But once I get back here, then we could talk on level-headed when things are nice, soft, and slow, where we can actually come to a resolution. Because up here, it's just going to be yelling. It's going to be, we're going nowhere fast. So that's why it's important to get me back here so I can communicate and, you know, be effective, respectful, and, you know, whatnot with what we're talking about.
Rania and Theron, you've been in the game for a while now in terms of marriage. So how have you guys over the years managed to deal with conflict resolution? Because as you continue to grow with each other, obviously the way you communicate and even the language that you guys use, it kind of changes over time. So how have you guys managed different cycles over the years of conflict resolution and being able to communicate with one another when you have differences?
I think it boils down to us really knowing each other and recognizing that every battle is not worth fighting, and choosing those battles that, you know, really need to be resolved, and things that, you know, so, you know, I consider life a juggle. So, you know, those glass balls that we got to address, if they hit the floor, they're going to break. But those rubber balls that we can kind of, you know, just keep it moving for a minute, let it hit the ground and pick it back up. Recognizing, again, I think over the years, we've, you know, definitely have gotten to know each other. So, you know, I know how to push his buttons. He knows how to push mine. You know, we don't even have to say, I need a moment. Like, it's a whole vibe. It's a look, it's the glance, like, you know, instantly, okay, I need to chill out with that. And I think in the face of COVID, you know, I travel a lot for work. I'm on the move a lot. So, you know, even though I work from home, you know, my workspace has now been everybody's space all the time. So there's no separation. We've not been apart at all since, you know, COVID. I mean, we've, you know, slept together at home or wherever we've traveled, the couple of times that we've traveled, every night, every day. And then, of course, like, as you know, we have a business, and as business owners, as in partnership with that, you know, sometimes, you know, there are things that we might not always agree on, but recognizing, you know, whose skill set is the one that needs to handle this, and, you know, who needs to handle that, and dividing that labor, and, you know, again, trusting each other and knowing that we, you know, have each other's back.
Yeah, that mutual respect and having each other's back, that's definitely extremely important as well. And when we're talking about communicating, Jessica, there's something that a lot of people talk about when it comes to relationships and marriages as well, and talks about love languages. So Jessica, what advice do you have, or what do you know typically about love languages and how couples can use their love language to effectively communicate?
So I love the love language. And I have to say, Brandon, you got some great couples on here, because I'm sitting back here like, wow, they don't need me. Like, my gosh, that's so good what they're giving right now. But the love languages are basically how we like to give and receive love, right? So there are 5 different love languages. Quick pop quiz for me. Let me see if I can name them all. So it's physical touch, acts of service, words of affirmation. I'm getting stuck. But so those are a few of the 5 love languages. But so let's say if my partner is really touchy feely, that will give you a clue that your partner may be a physical touch person, because that's how they're giving you love. It's the way that they're showing it. Meanwhile, you may be thinking, oh, well, he didn't say I look pretty today. He was hugging up on me, but he never said I look pretty. So maybe your words of affirmation is your love language. That's something you guys can take this free quiz on the 5lovelanguages.com and figure out, what are your love languages? How is your partner giving and receiving love? And I think that's important to know, because it's going to tell you how your partner wants to receive messages. So somebody who likes physical touch, maybe they're going to tune in if you grab their hand. If you grab their hand and let them know, I'm still here with you, I'm still supporting you, they're going to feel like, okay, this isn't they're coming down on me. This is them being in the moment with me.
Yeah, and I actually have the information pulled up as far as the 5 love languages. And just so you know, we're also monitoring comments on Facebook as well. Please comment and ask questions of the couples, and also ask questions of Jessica as well. Dennis, if we can pull up the comment on Facebook from Christian. Christian is watching tonight, and she's also a licensed professional counselor. Yeah, that one right there about quality time. That's one of the love languages. And then, of course, we also have words of affirmation, acts of service, receiving gifts, quality time, and physical touch. So those are the 5 love languages there. And Latoya and Derek, when you talk about the 5 love languages, how have you guys learned about your love languages as well? Are some of those like what you can identify with in terms of helping you guys communicate with each other? Like, I mean, are you very much in tune to your love language and helping each other create a cohesive unit as being one?
I think when me and Toya first started talking, I think correct me if I'm wrong, you were like, you wanted to know, like, right off the rip, what was each of our love languages, right? Mm-hmm. Right. So yeah, Toya was like, she was on it from the beginning, like, hey, I want to know what your love language is. And we took the test, and I didn't know what love languages were, but prior to meeting her. But when she told me, once I took the test and she told me what it was, I was like, bingo, like, it's dead on. Like, I am definitely a words of affirmation type of person. And she knows that. If she like to use this example all the time. If I'm taking the trash out and she like, boy, you look good taking that trash out, I'm going to grab all the bags in the house and make sure no trash is left in the entire house, because that just drives me. I mean, stroking my ego, that just drives me. So she know that, and anytime she want what she want, she could just say what she got to say, and it'll be done.
Yeah, and I would say, for me, my love language, I've always known that it's quality time. And so Derek knows how important quality time is to me. So we have five girls, living in the house with us. So after the day is gone and passed, and we just finally at night, that's our quality time. We like to pick a good TV show and just cuddle up and then just enjoy that intimacy. So yeah, knowing one another's love language is super, super important.
You know what? And talking about your love language as well too. Let's get into a little bit about the dynamics of your household, because I mean, I think that in today's society, it's 2020. A lot of families don't have as an extended family or as large of a family as most young couples like yourselves do. I mean, so you're talking about 6 children. You're about to welcome your 7th girl. So talk about the dynamics in the household when it comes to all of your children. And of course, if you guys are following along on Facebook, then you'll see all of the beautiful girls that Latoya and Derek have. And I mean, beautiful children. And I mean, I've met some of them, and they are just amazing, wonderful personalities.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
You
So the first thing is I'm very systematic and an organized type of person. I can't speak for everybody in this chat, but I'm very organized. So anytime that we need to tackle something, it starts up here like we got to plan it, strategic, whatever the case may be. We got to have a system in place, and with the system, of course, you got to work out the kinks as you go, and run a play if need be. But usually, when we have our system in place, like for example, at bedtime, when it's bedtime, lights are out for them at 8:30 every night. I don't care what is going on. We have a system in place. We eat, 6, 7. We eat. They go to bed. They take their bath. Then by 8 o'clock, they're definitely like going into. Is the camera still freezing?
No, I think you're good now.
Okay. So yeah, 8 o'clock, everybody's laying down on their tablets, and we call it TV time. They're on their tablets and watching TV, and by 8:30, lights off. So that's our system because after running around all day, going, dealing with the stresses of day-to-day life, we have to have our own time to remain sane, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it could be a lot when it comes to raising children and having that system in place. And it is important to have that in place. And Renia and Theron, I remember when you were pregnant. I mean, it was just all of our colleagues in Columbia were just, you were just glowing and you were just as happy as you can be. And now your son is 7 years old. So, and then talk about how that has been, having a young child at home and just kind of giving that burst of energy in your life. And then also your granddaughter as well too. 3 years old?
3 years old. Yeah. And so as you can see, it's like having two, it's almost like having two only children, since we've got a 17-year gap between our boys. And so, we were young parents, and now we feel like we're old parents, because the energy, as you mentioned, that our 7-year-older has, as his name is Blaze. And I always tell people, any kind of way that you could categorize or you would just imagine what a Blaze would be like, that's pretty much what we got. He's a ball of energy all the time. And again, in the face of COVID, we've had two main goals: to stay safe and sane as a family. And so when we have done that, yeah, Blaze definitely made a cameo and he's dancing in the background. But as we've focused on staying safe and sane, all right now, as we've focused on staying safe and sane, we also have, focused on, again, those things that we know we need, that our love languages. So quality time, I think what I would say, is both of our love languages. And we have a membership to a boat club. So we go out to the water and try to do that as much as we can, just to refresh and renew and, just focus on spending that quality time together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that quality time is important. And yeah, I see Blaze dancing in the background. He's enjoying this. So, but yeah, that was the next question I wanted to get to, in terms of how do you make time for yourself outside of, raising children, in terms of, and also trying to keep things together as far as, your business life is concerned too. How do you make time and quality time for yourself as well and each other?
I think that we vibe pretty good, so we kind of know, like, when each one of us kind of needs to kind of maybe make a target run or go out on the back patio and just enjoy the birds, those type things. So we're pretty in tune with each other, and when we need to kind of back off and let that person have his or her space.
Yeah, and I mean, it's about, having time, together, time as a family, time as a couple, individual time. And it's, again, in the face of COVID, it's harder now than ever. We're blessed to have, Theron is really blessed to have a set of grandparents who are 94, 96. Is it 90?
97.
97 and 94. Mm-hmm. See, it's just like amazing amount of years that they have. But because of that, his parents take care of his grandparents. His parents take care of his grandparents, so they're part of our extended support system. And usually, we'll pack Blaze up and send them down to grandparents' house. But in the face of COVID, we don't do that to try to protect them. So we're pretty much together like 95% of the time. We may get a little break here or there from my mom, but we run our business together. This was the year that we were going to bring in more staff, but we're together because we want to keep the potential for exchanging COVID as reduced as possible. So we share our germs that we already know that we're sharing, and don't bring anybody else in that mix. Keep our bubble small. And it's a challenge, but again, making sure that if it is just a Target run or a back porch, or maybe I might meet up with my girls, or he might have that one friend over, that kind of thing. Really making sure we have those times to separate and rejuvenate.
Yeah, that's very important. To have that time to separate and rejuvenate is definitely important, because you want to keep up that energy level to ensure that you're being there 100% for both each other, but also your family as well too. And I want to thank everyone who has been commenting as well too. We've got a lot of great comments that are coming in, and Christian mentioned a comment again about having that alone time. And Jessica, that's where I want to bring you back in, because you have some very interesting techniques and counseling topics that you talk about, with some of your clients, especially empowering women, but also empowering women to also look at their love languages, even when it comes to their sexuality and exploring intimacy as well.
Absolutely. So relationships are all about intention. And even more so now in the face of COVID, it's important that we are intentional about spending time with our partners and intentional about saying what it is that we need. One of the things that's missing for us individually, not just the women, but for the men, is our commute time to work. So usually you'd probably be taking 30 minutes or so to get into work, 30 minutes or so to get back, and you kind of have that time to wind down. So what I'm telling clients to do nowadays is to factor that into your work. So what you guys are seeing is my home office. And before and after a session, I take my 30 minutes in my office to get myself acclimated for the day. And that's my commute time, my time to myself. But then I'm also very intentional about scheduling with my husband times that we can have. Like Derek was saying earlier, that bedtime when the kids are going down at 8:30, you at least have from 8:30 to 10:30 or so to be with your partner. And if you need that time to yourself, say that. Mr. Jamison was saying it's a vibe. You kind of have to feel the energy between yourself and your partner, and be intellectually curious. One of the pitfalls that we fall into with relationships is saying, oh, I know my partner, I know them, I know this, but we are ever evolving, right? So you want to be intellectually curious about your partner and how did they grow today? How did they change today? And making those conversations paramount, making them a priority, and then thinking about your pleasure. Thinking about, letting your kids know, hey, mommy and daddy need time together too. Just like, I can't imagine because I had 6 brothers and sisters, but, for Derek and his wife, they are about to introduce a 7th. So letting your kids know, hey, mommy and daddy need time together too. Just like we spend individual time with you, we have to spend time with each other. So if you guys can busy yourself for a little while, if it's not bedtime, while we have a short conversation or sit out on the porch, do that. Let your kids know, because we're modeling healthy relationship styles for them. So that's going to be important and make it a whole family thing. But COVID has made it so we are together all the time, and let your kids know they're entitled to their personal space just like you are as well.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely true. And then when you talk about ability over time, even your own compatibility changes. So Derek and Latoya, what have you noticed about your level of compatibility and how that has changed? As you are currently where you are, you're introducing another baby into the mix now. So that's going to be baby number 7. How do you think your compatibility has changed versus when you first got together and you were dating and where you are now?
I'm not gonna say it changed much, but I'm gonna say we had to like make sure we don't lose one another in the midst of the change. Like I said, we always try to have a system. Like 8:30 until bedtime, that's our time. I don't care what happened that day, what didn't happen that day. That's our time. I may fall asleep sometime, but but she's understanding. She's understanding, and she works with me. However, I think that's just the biggest thing. We try to make sure we don't lose ourselves in the midst of the change.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think, everything's always great when you first enter in a relationship. Everything's so honeymoonish and la la land, and you're on cloud 9. And then as time goes on, real life sets in. You start learning things about one another, and you start learning how to deal with conflict. You start learning that, oh my gosh, they don't put the toilet seat down, or it's so many different things.
I do that though. I pull it down. I don't play that.
But in terms of compatibility and in keeping that spice alive, we're a blended family. So Derek has 4 girls, and I have 2, but together, they're all of ours. But I say that to say that we have a great support system. Our extended family on both ends. We have so much. We're coming from a huge family, so it's so important that sometimes, on the weekends we'll plan something and the kids go away, and we always know when the kids are away, Derek is so good about doing date night.
Don't miss it.
Date night can be just going to get some ice cream, but it's so essential for us to just enjoy that time, to like keep that spark alive.
Right. And I'm big on consistency. I don't like the falling off. I don't like what I do at the beginning. I try to maintain throughout the entirety of the relationship. And she tells this story a lot. One time we was going on maybe a first or second date, and she was like, "You're not gonna hold the door open for me?" And I straight up told her, I was like, "No, I'm not going to start something that I can't maintain." So I was honest with her. She was like, "You know what? I respect that. I respect that." And don't get me wrong. Now she can get all dolled up and fine, and I'll be running to that door to get it, because what I mean. She's just that queen. What I mean. She's the queen of the night. But I just didn't want to lay that foundation. Like I'm very consistent with my approach on anything.
Consistency is key in anything. So
Yeah, consistency really is key. And I think a lot of couples, especially younger couples these days who are not married or potentially looking to get married, I think that's some of the pitfalls that they do make. Renee and Theron, bringing you back in, I think that's important that people need to look at. What advice would you give to couples who are considering getting married? They're not there yet, but they're kind of making that commitment where they actually want to get married. Talk about what perfect recipe that you guys had in terms of making your steps towards marriage, and how other couples who are together who are looking to get married, what do they need to have in place in order to come together in a successful and a happy way?
I think, to me, honestly, we've been in the game a little bit to see marriages that started either before ours or around the same time, rise and fall and, fall apart. And so just, I think some of the lessons that I've learned on the back end of seeing some of those marriages that have fallen apart has been, I'm not really sure that people really liked each other. I think a lot of times people get married for the wrong reasons. They feel like it's time, and I just, I got to do it right now, or it may be a financial arrangement, or they don't want this person to get away from them, or whatever the motivation is. Sometimes it boils down to, I really question, like, do you really like this person? And I know that sounds real simple, but again, wanting to spend your life with someone and being willing to give 100% at all times, requires the very basic start of, I at least want to be this person's partner for a long, long time. So that, I think, to me, that's key.
Definitely. Also, open and honest communication. I keep kind of going back to that. It's not a game. It's not trying to trap or set somebody up to benefit you. Let your intentions be known, and don't harbor ill feelings towards your mate. Like I said, it goes back to open and honest communication.
And I think, there may be moments where you have to be able to forgive, and, a true agape love forgiveness where, once you forgive, then it's a fresh start. It's not sweeping it under the rug, and then when we have another argument, it's coming back out.
Yeah, I think that's another important thing as well too. The issue is, I think that a lot of couples have sometimes, is that they don't want to talk about things right then and there. And there's an old saying, and you guys, I'm staying with you guys. You guys tell me if you've heard this before. You don't go to bed mad at each other.
Angry. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think when it's stuff that we need to deal with, we need to deal with it. So, particularly with our older son, like I said, it's almost like we have two sets of only children, because, it's two totally different situations. When we were dealing with potty training, we were dealing with like real deal dating and college stuff at the same time. And so, when we call for a family meeting, it's a family meeting. Like, we need to deal with this right now. And then again, as I mentioned earlier in that juggle example, there are some things that, it's really not that big of a deal. But if we're raging and, we can't communicate properly, we recognize that, okay, we got to take a deep breath, calm down, and approach and address what needs to be approached.
All right, I think we kind of lost some connection there for a second. Jessica, I wanted to ask you a question in terms of the importance of Renia and also Latoya and Derek and Theron. They also brought up some great points in terms of about being friends. That's the foundation of it. You got to be friends with each other first, and you got to, first and foremost, like each other. It sounds cliche or tongue in cheek when you say that. You got to like the person that you're with, but there are a myriad of reasons why some people potentially, go into marriage for the wrong reasons. But the first foundation is that you got to be friends first, and best friends at that.
Right. And constantly cultivating that friendship and constantly working towards bettering that, because at the end of the day, especially when you have children, eventually they will grow up. If you've done what you're supposed to do as a parent, they will grow up, they will go into the world, and they will find their own partners. And you have to like the person that you're with. A lot of reasons why, older couples get divorced is when they're empty nesters, they're sitting across from someone they don't like. And I thought, Renia, that was a great assessment. We can use a lot of marriages around us to kind of, decide what are we going to do and what are we not going to do. But you're right, Brandon. A best friend is someone you tell everything to. I have some friends that are watching right now, and to be perfectly honest with you, when I tell them something, I kind of assume that they're going to tell their husband. So it always shocks me when they're like, hey, I told my husband this, but I didn't tell him that. And I'm like, I thought you were going to tell him anyway, because you guys should be best friends. And a really good resource for like relationships and the types of relationships that you may want to have is Pastor Mike Todd has a book called Relationship Goals. I bring that up because of this. I love to draw Venn diagrams. So my friends that are watching are like, oh no, she's bringing out the Venn diagram. But this is, you have your husband. Okay, let me get right. You got your husband and your wife, right? So please excuse my gender normative colors, but that's what I had available here to me. And in the center here is your marriage. So I'm going to do an M here. This is your singleness. It's weird, but that's an S. This is your singleness. Wives and husbands, while you're cultivating the friendship with your partner, also be working on your singleness. Do not lose yourself in your marriage, because when you only become Deron the husband, or Rania the wife, or Derek the husband, you lose who that person fell in love with to begin with. So while you're cultivating the relationship you have with your partner, also be working on your singleness. Make sure that you're doing the things that made you the person that they fell for, and doing the things that is keeping you happy. Because yes, our partners add to our happiness, but happiness comes from within. It can't just come from our partner. So I wanted to express that point, because I'm hoping that you each are putting in the same effort with yourself that you are with your spouse.
No, that is an honest and great assessment, because I think a lot of times what happens is, especially with younger couples, you tend to lose yourself in the push and the pull of life and everything else, and then you're constantly focused on the family. You're focused on making your spouse happy, and you're not focused on doing things for yourself. Latoya and Derek, bringing you back in, talk about how you guys make time for yourself to cultivate what you have going on in your own personal lives.
I'll take this one. And the reason I say that is because yes, I am a real estate agent, but I'm a stay-at-home mom, especially with COVID going on. It worked, but I will say that, so Derek is gone a lot, for work, and he works very, very hard to provide for this family when he's away. And being home with the kids all the time, I feel like I can go insane. But one thing I will give you credit for is that it'll be times where he'll say, "Okay, I got the kids. Go to the store. I love Target, so I'll go to Target and buy the whole store." But so that is super essential. I'll say for me, those are the little things I do, is just like store runs by myself. Or you know what I even like to do? I like to sit in the car in the driveway sometimes, just by myself. Derek will pull up and he's like, "You're still in the car?" Yes, because something so simple like that is therapeutic. Yes.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I still work out. Like I have a detailed and very intense gym regimen that I do. So I like to work out. I would like to work out, and most importantly, like Jessica was saying, my ride home. A lot of times my ride home is just like a time to me to just get my head together, just to recap what I didn't do, just to get a calm, cool, not worry about anything in the very, very moment, because as soon as I walk through that door, I got 10 problems to worry about. I mean, one time I came home and every kid, one after the other, had a problem I had to fix in the first 5 minutes of me being here. And I looked at her, I was like, "Well, you got something?" She was like, "Well, yeah, I do." Like it was so weird, but that is my time. Like I said, between going to the gym and ride home, that's my time to just detox, or just relax, and especially gym, because that's my thing.
Yeah, you also have to have that quality time to yourself. I mean, being able to know what you like and enjoy it together, but being able to enjoy it singularly in your own way, that is very important as well. And I'm loving all the comments and stuff that are coming in. I'm kind of watching those off screen here. You know, a great job at talking about finding self-care in the little things. The driveway sit, that's being peaceful. I mean, we've also got Crystal Sauls who's commenting the car spot. She's there. She's there right now. So that's just let you know. And then even Crystal Jackson, she's commenting and saying that the car is the prayer closet. Listen, it doesn't matter where you are, as long as you're taking prayer with you, that's all that matters, you know, because you absolutely have to. Renia and Theron, talk about some of the things that you guys do individually that helps maintain and keeping you and your own individuals in place for when you come back together in harmony.
I could definitely relate to having that. I call it a moment of clarity, you know, where you just have to kind of sit in the car for a second, get it together before you cross the thresholds. Because my motto is, when I cross the threshold of my home, the stuff that is on the outside of it, I leave it out there. And my main duty is to tend what's on the inside of my home. I'm an avid sneaker collector, so that's one thing I kind of do to you know, wind down. I'm an avid music fanatic, so sometimes I like to share my music. Sometimes you'll see me with my Beats by Dre studio headphones on, just kind of vibing out, you know. In my mind, I'll be selling dope sometimes, you know. And then, you know, sometimes, you know, if I have company over, I'll, you know, we like to have a great cigar every now and again, just kind of wind down, just kind of talk, you know. And so those are kind of some things that, you know, I do as an individual. Sometimes I include my wife. Sometimes, you know, like I said, I just do those events on my own.
Yeah, and I think for me, Brandon, you know, on a regular basis, I try to have my girlfriend time and hang out, chat about, you know, women's stuff, lady stuff, whatever that is. I like to do my online shopping these days. That helps me, you know, me stay sane. So getting a surprise package at the door makes me feel real good. And then I even like to de-stress by doing coloring books, adult coloring books. And, you know, sometimes, like I said, we do a lot together. So I might take that on the boat and I'll be on the back of the boat relaxing, doing my coloring book and, you know, just feeling like, you know, having that fun, creative streak sparked up. And I think the other thing that, you know, we kind of do separately and together is, you know, give back to the community. That's very fulfilling for me. I'm involved in several organizations, and, you know, so that's, you know, when I commit to those groups, that's kind of a refreshing thing for me. Although I'm, you know, still very much giving of myself. That's also a refreshing thing. And even though we do our business together, there are aspects of it that, you know, again, I kind of take ownership and Theron takes ownership. We consider ourselves poppreneurs with our gourmet popsicle business. But, you know, Theron is our great popologist because he comes up with all the recipes and creates his masterpiece popsicles. Whereas, you know, I'm more of the business, you know, frontline person handling set bookings and setting things up for marketing and things like that.
She's the pop star.
And he's definitely our popologist.
All right, that's awesome. It's great to hear. Jessica, as we're kind of wrapping things up here, what is your one piece of solid advice that you can give for any couple that is about to take that journey into marriage themselves, and they're not quite sure what or how they're going to kind of make it happen?
Wow, Brandon. Talk about a stumper. Because as I'm listening to these couples talk, I'm learning as well. You know, I've only been married for 6 years, but I think that some of the advice that I'm hearing from these couples are great. It's 100% and 100%. No one can give 50% of themselves. You need to be all in, and you need to know your why. Take it seriously. This should not be taken lightly. Know your why and remember your why throughout the relationship. Remember why you fell for this person and what are the things you're looking forward to sharing with them. Rania, I heard you say you do coloring books, and so I have an adult coloring book on my website, and I intend for couples to share it, share each other's hobbies, share each other's interests, and stay intellectually curious about your partner. Remember, I tell my husband all the time, you are not the same person I married in 2014. And I thank God for that, because I thank God for growth, right? So just be intellectually curious and share. You learned that in kindergarten.
Yeah. I think you do. That's a big cornerstone piece of it, is being able to share with one another. I'm sure Derek and Latoya, you guys can kind of piggyback off of that in terms of what's your one solid advice that you can give to anyone looking to embark on that journey themselves.
So I think my advice for couples looking to get married, I would say one of the biggest takeaways from this conversation is you have to like who you are with. You know, not what they can do for you or anything like that. You have to genuinely like that person. They have to be your friend. You know, would you hang out with them as just a friend? And then I would just say, you just got to ask yourself that question. Can you picture spending literally forever? You know, forever is a long time. Can you picture yourself forever with that person? And as long as everyone's going to have a bad day, okay? You're not going to have a relationship that everything is just peachy. But if you can say that we have more good days than bad days, and that there's a spirit of willingness, I think that that's really the keys of what it would take.
My two things would be, number one, counseling. Counseling has been a blessing to our lives. I'm not even gonna say in disguise, because I mean we know the benefits of counseling. So I would definitely recommend counseling, because it would expose the negative cycle. For example, it exposed the past trauma that would trigger something that you didn't even know about yourself. It teaches you more and more about yourself. So that's one very, very important thing. And the next thing is just hard work. If you think you're about to get into a marriage or a relation, a marriage that you're not going to work hard and not quote unquote fight for, but just put in that extra mile, then you're definitely going to miss it. You're going to miss it, because at the end of the day, you have to work hard. You have to work hard. It's not going to be easy, but you have to work hard. And that know your why. That's very, very important too, because that's what's going to make you work hard, knowing your why.
That's good.
Yep. And as we close out, Rania and Theron, your thoughts as well too, for any couples that are looking to embark on that marital journey themselves.
What you say? Well, I mean, I think everybody has said it. Again, make sure you like each other and are okay with spending the rest of your lives together. I remember before I got married, I was told, marriage is work, the 4-letter word work, and it is. And again, giving all that you've got to it, you get so much in return.
Yeah. To use the analogy to compare marriage to a car, it definitely needs maintenance, and there's no trade-ins. So you're going to have to take this vehicle, maintain it, so that you could get into the classic stages. Mm-hmm. And I was just giggling with Rania. I said a lot of intimacy and a lot of travel. So you should be coming and going.
And laughing.
And yeah, I hear little Blaze laughing in the background too. So I mean, that's that's, I think, one of the single most important pieces of any successful marriage is be able to laugh at just about everything and just being there for each other in happy, holistic, and healthy ways. I want to thank all of our couples tonight, Derek and Latoya, Renia and Theron, and also Jessica for being here and giving some sound advice, on how we can have that maintenance checkup, for couples during this time of COVID as well. And Jessica, I definitely want to thank, I saw your husband comment as well too. I want to thank him for watching, and he posted the information on your website and about the coloring book. So definitely appreciate him for being there as well. And as we continue this discussion, this will be another discussion that we'll have again in the future. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. And thank you to all of our viewers who gave some great comments, great engaging feedback tonight. I appreciate everyone for watching. Again, this will be a topic that we'll explore in the future because, again, they're just the cornerstone of our society. And we want to continue to encourage people who are looking to get married, but also our other couples who are married as well, to have happy, healthy, holistic, and successful marriages. Good night, everyone. We'll see you again next week.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.